Good morning, Rain Valley Church. My name is Teddy, and this week's episode of Life Hacks, my family's taking over. Hi, my name is Wally, and this first hack is called the Hillbilly Sprinkler.
Come on, kid, I can't do this forever.
Why not?
You know what? I got a better idea.
Hi, my name is Michelle, and this next hack is called Get Lost, Bees. This ain't no cupcake.
Hi, my name is Wally, and this last hack is called the Tostitos starter.
Hey, hon, is the grill almost ready?
Not sponsored by Tostitos. And that concludes this week's episode. We are in a series called Life Hacks, where we look at practical wisdom for everyday life in the book of Proverbs. Let's continue worshiping God this morning. Have a great week.
My goodness, an entire family with outstanding talents. Thank you, guys. Actually, I enjoy these life hacks. I really do. Anytime I can find one and see one, I love it. And I love that one, Keep the Bees Away. That one worked good for you, Michelle. Hey, listen, Barb Smith, foster sister of Pastor Clem, went to be with the Lord. There's going to be a memorial service here next Sunday at 3 p.m. It'll be in the chapel, followed by a meal and fellowship. Barb was a missionary nurse in Africa for many years. So be praying for the Billhorns and encourage them in this time. Christy and Aaron Hemphill from Mexico, missionaries here. Guys, stand up. Let everybody know you guys are here. Yes, and your daughter can stand as well. Good to have you guys with us. You know, to be personally and spiritually healthy, we need honest friends who are going to be wise and godly. So think with me for a second. Who are the people you've been hanging with over the last 6 months that you probably say, these are my friends? Have they been honest with you? When I say honest, I'm not talking about talking Bible verses to you. I'm talking about have they spoken heart to heart to you about truth in your life that maybe is sometimes hard to hear? Are they wise people? Are they people that live life real well and skillfully? And are they godly people? Are they people whose priority is to seek after Jesus and they take their lead in life from the Word of God? You know, the way you answer that question is really a good indication of the kind of person you'll be 6 years from now. So when you look over the last 6 months, say, these are the people I hang with, and you look at 6 years forward, either for the good or for the bad, depending on who you're hanging with, they're probably a good reflection of what you're going to be like if you continue to hang with the same people. See, Proverbs teaches us a very important lesson. Friendships are desperately important because they deeply impact us. That one's worth repeating. I want you to get that one. Hang on to that. Friendships are desperately important because they deeply impact us. So what I want to do today is basically look at the book of Proverbs, get some wisdom about friendships, and then share with you 2 life hacks about friends. So if you could start by turning to Proverbs 13:20, whether you have a Bible, a phone, whatever you're using. We have Bibles in the seats in front of you if you don't have one, or maybe it's underneath you. I'm not sure how it works. But open it up. We're going to be in the book of Proverbs all morning. We'll be turning and seeing a lot of passages from God's Word. And I had the privilege of standing up here in this sense because if I'm faithful to the Word, the reality is, thus says the Lord. It's not Pat's best ideas or best thoughts, but this is really what God has to say about friendships. So I'm going to start in Proverbs 13:20. And we're going to find out as we look at Proverbs that friendships are going to impact us either for the good or for the bad. And we start here in verse 20 of 13. It says this: He who walks with wise men will be wise. Very simple, very basic. You want to be wise? Walk with wise men and women. Are your friends wise? They're going to impact you. You think of Jesus, and when I think of Jesus and how he trained his men and prepared them for a task really with a worldwide mission that he had given to them, Jesus didn't send them away to a special ministry school called Bible college or seminary, as good as those things are, and I went there and gained a lot. But Jesus' method was, he was their school. Jesus used relationships to impact his followers, not programs. Jesus used real life situations as they were walking through real life together to impact his followers, not sitting them in a classroom. And so if we want to be people who are impacted or make an impact, we need to get close to people. Simple formula that I use that I think really summarizes it all is this. There's a formula for friendships that impact. Close proximity plus time equals impact. Very simple. I get close to somebody, I spend time with them, and the more close I am and the more time with them, the greater impact they're going to have upon my life. And again, if I want to be wise, I want to find wise people. And I want to get close to them. And I want to spend time with them because they're going to impact my life. And I thank God for the people in my life that he has put around me. Because, when it comes to getting close to wise people, there's really 2 ways to do it. One is they can invite you into their life and their relationship, but another one is you can approach them. And I've done both. I've done both with a sense of people coming to me and say, Pat, I want to have time with you, and I want to be a little bit more intentional, a little more time, and, we get to do that. I've also gone to other people, and I said to them, hey, man, I like what I see here. I want more of that. How can we have some time together to make that happen? So by whatever means you use, if your goal is to be a wise person, it isn't going to happen because you read a lot of books in your bedroom by yourself. It's going to be because you get close to wise people and you spend a lot of time with them, because if you want to be wise, you need to walk with the wise. Turn to Proverbs 27:17. Here again, we see the impact that relationships can have upon us. Proverbs 27:17 says this: iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. The principle is very simple. The same way that iron sharpens iron, you want to sharpen a knife, and often you take that knife, you take it against another steel object, and you're going like this, and the sparks are flying, and guess what? That knife is starting to get sharper. Iron sharpens iron. They sharpen it with another piece of iron. Or another way they do it is they heat up the iron, and you take a big iron hammer, and you pound down on that, and you begin to shape that piece of metal. Iron sharpens iron. You want to be sharpened? I want to be sharpened. Guess what? It's people. It's getting close to people. As iron sharpens iron, so one man or one woman sharpens another. Turn back to Proverbs 22. I'm sorry, we're going to be going back and forth different places. Proverbs 22, 24 through 25. Says this, do not associate with a man given to anger, or go with a hot-tempered man, or you will learn his ways and find a snare for yourself. He's saying very simply, you know what, guys, you're going to hang around and associate with a guy or a woman who's quick-tempered and angry. You know what's going to happen? You're going to learn their ways. They're going to rub off on you. You're going to become like them. And you know what's going to happen there is you're going to end up setting a snare for yourself. You're setting up your own trap. As you start to hang around with this person that blows their top quickly and often, what's going to happen is they're going to impact you for the negative. You're going to learn their ways, and you're going to be setting a trap for your life. And so when you look at what Proverbs says, you got a choice here. I have a choice. Either we can be setting traps for ourselves by the relationships we choose, or we can become wiser by the relationships we choose. In many ways, the ball's in our court. Who are we choosing to hang with? Who are our friends? Are they godly friends? Are they wise friends? Are they friends that are honest with you and speak the truth to you? I just want to give you a couple other observations about friendships from Proverbs, and then we're going to close with a simple challenge and an opportunity this morning. Turn to Proverbs 16:28. We've established the fact here. Friendships are desperately important because they deeply impact us either for the good or for the bad. Either our relationships are going to help us become wiser, or they're going to set traps for us that are going to become a snare and trip us up. Now, I want to talk about a couple passages that can mess up relationships, then a couple thoughts on other ones. Proverbs 16:28 says this, a perverse man spreads strife, and a slanderer separates intimate friends. Intimate friends. We're talking about close friends. I could tell you stories of people even right here in this church, but I won't because, we know them too well. But people who began to, they were close friends. They were the best buddies. And all of a sudden, one of them began to speak behind the back of the other person things that were vulnerabilities or weaknesses or struggles for that person, or maybe even things they shared in confidence. And I love what it says in Ecclesiastes, be careful about what you whisper in the bedroom because it's going to spread out. And you know what? What we say in secret, it's got a way of getting out there. And you don't know how many relationships have been broken because when somebody's not in our presence, we begin to talk about them in some kind of negative or intimate way. Proverbs says this, you know what? You want to separate the closest of friends? Here's how you do it. Talk about them when they're not there. Talk about them in a negative way. Let me show you another way Proverbs talks about separating even the closest of friends. I think it's in the next chapter. Proverbs 17:9 says this. He who conceals a transgression seeks love, but he who repeats a matter separates intimate friends. Now, he's not talking about repeating it necessarily to other people in the slander sense. You see, you got to take it in context here. What does love do? Love covers up somebody's transgression. They blow it in front of you. Or maybe they do something to you that hurts you. And you know what love says? Love says, hey, I'm going to cover that up. I'm not going to expose that. I'm not going to keep on bringing that up and putting it out and using it against you. But guess what? He who repeats a matter separates the closest of friends. We never let it die. We never bury it. We keep on using that fault. We keep on using that sin. We keep on using that mistake, that weakness, that wrong decision, and we keep on bringing it in their face. And guys, I'm going to tell you what, that not only separates the most intimate of friends, that even separates husbands and wives in the depths of their emotions. And many of us as Christians, we've got the commitment properly that, this is marriage until death do us part. But you know what? We can break some stuff deep inside in that relationship if we just don't let it die. Because love says, I'm going to cover up that sin. I'm going to protect you. I'm not going to keep on bringing it up in your face and using it. But if you keep on bringing it up and keep on repeating it, and remember what you did, and I'm not going to do that because you did this, you keep on repeating this matter, you're going to separate even the closest of friends. So 2 ways to destroy relationships is one is to talk negatively about them when they're not there, and second of all, to keep on bringing something up, not letting it go, and leaving it in the ground and covering it up with love. Because you know what, guys? Even the best of relationships hit rough times. The best of relationships hit rough times. And if we seek to love the other person, we don't care whose fault it was. You did this, I did that. Guys, I really don't care whose fault it is. It doesn't matter. I love you. Let's just drop this thing. Yeah, we screwed up. It happened. Let's move on. Let's cover this. Proverbs 27, 5-6 has another word of advice for us. Better is open rebuke than love that is concealed. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but deceitful are the kisses of an enemy. Remember I asked you, does your friend tell you the truth about you? I'm not talking about do they just quote Bible truths to you. Do they speak heart to heart to you with a mind and heart that's been shaped by the Bible about the truth about what they see in your life? Sometimes that's going to hurt. Sometimes that's going to wound us. Sometimes that's going to take an open rebuke where they come right out and they say, you know what, you're going the wrong way. You need to stop this. And what he says here, this is better than hidden love. And many of us as Christians have this little meek and weak idea of love, and I'm just going to sit here quietly, and I don't want to mess anything up, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, and I don't want to rock the boat. So I'm just going to sit here, and I'm not going to tell my friend what's going on because I don't want to lose him as my friend, and I'm going to be the good Christian, and I'm going to be the real gentle, kind person. Proverbs saying, you know what? You love them more if you'll speak the truth to them and rebuke them. It's better than hidden love that doesn't say anything. Faithful are the wounds of a friend. Faithful. When a friend wounds you with the truth, it's because they love you, and those wounds are good wounds. But you know what's deceitful? That person that kisses you and loves you all up, but they never speak the truth to you. Then just one other point, and then I want to apply what we've learned. Proverbs 18:24. says this: a man of too many friends. Ooh, that's interesting. A man of too many friends comes to ruin. But there's a friend who sticks closer than a brother. Guess what, guys? The person with the most friends doesn't win. That's what we kind of think, man, the most popular person obviously is the one that's most blessed, because you know what he's saying here? You know what? You can be very popular. You can have a whole bunch of friends. You can name off the list of all these things, but you need that friend that sticks closer than a brother. You need that friend who's going to speak the truth to you. You need that friend that's going to be there when times don't go well, and that person that's be there, because you know what, when you're popular and everything, they love you because you're popular and you've got the stuff that the world loves. But man, when you go through the tough times, man, it's amazing how many of them slip off to the side. Because the point is, you can be part of the big popular group and have a lot of people surrounding you. But where's that one? Proverbs says you're better off with that one friend that's closer than a brother than having a whole bunch that take off when you really need them and you come to a ruin. You know, the English Standard Version interprets this the same way. You know, there's a couple people interpret this differently. Both the New American Standard and the English Standard are very good translations from the original language. I love the way, there's a couple others that see it a different way, but I think this is accurate. And I love the way the Message says this. I put it up for you. It says it this way. No, I didn't put it up for you, so I'm going to read it to you. Friends come and friends go, but a true friend sticks by you like family. You say, if you live long enough, you know the truth of that. Friends come and friends go. You know, at one point, man, this guy was my buddy. We're going to be buddies for life. I'll never have, well, all of a sudden you look back, where'd they go, man? What happened? What happened here? Friends come and go, but there's that one friend. There's that one friend that sticks to you like family. Guys, we need the one friend. That's my encouragement to you, to be wise. You need the one. Don't worry about popularity. Don't worry about gigantic groups of friends. But you need that one friend who will be honest with you, who's wise, and who's godly, because that one friend is going to impact you gigantically. And guess what? You're going to impact them gigantically. So here's my 2 life hacks for today. The first one is this: choose your friends in light of who you want to become. Choose your friends in light of who you want to become. What do you want to be like? Guess what? The people you hang with are going to impact you. And so, choose my friends in light of the kind of person I want to become. That's our first life hack. Here's the second one. Expand your relational base in order to expand your heart. Expand your relational base in order to expand your heart. I want to tell you a true story of how I learned this lesson. Many years ago, Kim and I, and actually our girls went as well, along with Craig Perrell, down to Ecuador, along with Leadership Resources, to do some ministry down there. And one of the days while we were down in Ecuador, we decided to visit the place where those 5 missionaries were killed by the tribal Indians. Probably the best known ones, if you remember the story, Jim Elliot and Nate Saint. This is the place they went to minister to, and as they tried to reach out to these tribal Indians, they were killed by them. Well, we were supposed to go that afternoon to visit the village. And we were staying in, we were in Ecuador. We drove way into the Amazon jungle area, or on the edge of it. Then we flew into the Amazon to the village. But when we drove into this place, we stayed at some missionary housing. And I remember we woke up the next morning and we were going through the line for breakfast. And as I got done, it was kind of like a buffet thing. You take this, take that, keep, So I went out there, and there were a number of tables sitting in the missionary housing. And I looked over, and there were these two older women that were sitting over here, and then there were a whole bunch of other empty tables. And I got to be honest with you, I looked at those ladies and say, they don't look too exciting. I'm going to sit over here by myself. So I sat down, but then my wife Kim came through. And she came over with a tray and says, hey, let's go sit with those ladies. And I said, hey, baby, you know what? Those ladies really don't look that exciting. I'd rather just sit here. And you know what Kim did? Men, you may relate to this. She gave me the look. Didn't say a word. Too bad we couldn't get the camera on you, Kim, to see the look. Everybody would pick up their tray and move, But you know what? You husbands, you know what the look is like. Don't have to say a word. I said, okay. So she gave me the look, and she took her tray and headed over to these ladies. So I picked up my tray and followed her and sat down with these two boring old ladies. Well, if you know anything about the story, what happened is after these two missionaries, the 5 missionaries were killed, Jim Elliott's wife, Elizabeth Elliott, and Nate Saint's sister, Rachel Saint, went back into the village with the tribal Indians who actually killed their husbands, their brothers, and these other men, and they began a ministry to reach out to these tribal people. Many people came to Christ. Really, just about the whole village was turned upside down for Jesus. And these two ladies were the two ladies who came and joined Rachel Saint in the ministry there once Elizabeth Elliott left. And then once Rachel Saint died, these two women were the ones that carried on the ministry. I'll tell you what, guys, these were two of the most exciting people I ever met in my life. They told me stories all the way from boa constrictors to tribal people transformed into the image of Jesus, even the very ones who killed the missionaries, who she knew personally, telling me story after story. I'll tell you, when we went out there that afternoon, it was amazing. We flew out, and after hearing these stories, you could hear a cricket creak, man. I jumped a foot every time I heard a twig because I thought it was a boa constrictor ready to come out of the tree after me, So they jacked me up, man, I'll tell you. They probably saw a sucker on the line. These ladies said, look at this boring young guy. We're gonna get him. But you know what, guys? I left after those 2.5 hours, because we had a lot of time. We sat there, and we were in close proximity to these two women who had amazing stories of what God had done in and through them. We spent 2.5 hours in close proximity with time. They made an amazing impact, inspiration, challenge to my heart, man. You realize that relationships are full of surprises. A lot of us are bored in life because we never get into these relational surprises. There's some amazing people right here in this building. We may look at them, we say, they just sit by, they sit in that same seat every week. They are who they are, whatever. And we don't realize what surprise God may have as we learn the unique story in their life of what God has been doing in them. And not only is it full of relational surprises, not only do we have surprises, but relationships stretch our hearts. Because you know what, like we said, with relationships, they impact us, and you get close to people, you spend some time with them, it does something in us. It does something to stretch who we are. It changes us. It transforms us. It impacts us. And so we're surrounded by people every week who could be a relational surprise and a gigantic impact upon my life. But here's our problem. And I say our problem because we all wrestle with it. Our human tendency is to gather with those that are like us. They call it the holy huddle in the church. That's a tendency that's within us. We don't walk in and say, who's a new person I can meet this morning? We walk in and we look for the people we're comfortable with in the same seat we sat in for the last 47 years. And if somebody new came and said it, we say, hey, that's my seat, get out of there. Rather than, hi, my name is so-and-so, I'm glad you're here. Our tendency as humans is to gather together with those we know and are comfortable with. Guys, this tendency goes all the way back to the Tower of Babel. Think with me for a second. God told Adam and Eve, be fruitful and multiply and do what? Fill the earth. And then all this corruption came upon the earth to the point that God had to destroy all of mankind except for Noah and his family. And the first thing that God said to Noah when they got off the boat was this: be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. Same instructions. So what did they do? Well, here's all these people as the generations go on, and these children are born, and now we come out hundreds of years later, and we have these masses of people that are born from the three sons, Japheth, Ham, and Shem, of Noah and their wives, and these generations come, and now you got this large group of people in a plain near Babylon. And this is what they say: let's build a great city. Let's build ourselves. Actually says, let's build for ourselves a great city with a tower that reaches up into heaven. And they said these are the two reasons they want to do it. One, so we'll be famous. Number two, so we won't have to be scattered over all the earth. What'd God say? Fill the earth. What's man's tendency? We're going to build our city right here so we don't have to scatter all over all the earth and we can hang out together. Well, God had to intervene. And God had to confuse their languages. And from there, peoples of all the nations that are in existence today began as they were scattered and their languages were confused. God had to supernaturally act to get man to scatter. Think with me about Acts chapter 1, verse 8. What did God tell his disciples? You shall be my witnesses here in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, even to the uttermost part of the earth. And the part I forgot, which is even most important, is that wait here until the Spirit comes, will give you power to do that. Well, guess what? There they were ministering in Jerusalem. When did they finally step outside of Jerusalem to carry out the mission that Jesus had given them to Judea, Samaria? It's when God brought suffering to the church. God had to supernaturally act again among his people to scatter them around Jerusalem to get his message out beyond and to scatter his people. This is my point. Guys, we have a worldwide mission ourselves that Jesus has given to us as his people. We term it like this. It comes from the scripture. Our desire is to see Jesus treasured here, there, that's every place we go, and everywhere around the world. We need to do that by bringing people to Jesus and helping people, and they helping us become more like Jesus. So guess what, guys? For us to fulfill the mission that Jesus has given us, it's going to take an act of God. Because my tendency and yours is to hang with my people, the people I'm comfortable with, the people I already know. But it's when I step out and I start to get to know somebody else or get closer with somebody else who's just on the fringes of my life, something happens. So this is the challenge I want to leave you with. How do we put today's message into action? I'd like you to consider this. If you do one of these, I'd like to hear. I hope everybody does, to be honest with you. But choose one of these and do it. Consider a home dessert with your church neighbors. I'm going to give you 3 options, by the way. This is the first. I say dessert for this reason. I've been in the ball game long enough. You do a dinner, you spend the whole day, man. The wife's cleaning the house. She's getting the meal ready. I mean, this is becoming a gigantic problem. She says, by the way, Pat, the bushes outside need to be trimmed. And you should cut the grass before. You know what I say, man, I just want to get together with people. And now I got myself worn out by the time they come. She's so preoccupied with the stuff, it's like I'm almost angry that they came. You know what I mean? So I'm saying, how about a dessert? Because with a dessert, you can even buy a pie. Man, you have to do it because it's about real. You know, guys, it's not about entertainment. It's about hospitality. Those are 2 big different things. Entertainment's impressing people with our stuff and our meal and our spread and everything. Hospitality is about people getting with people. And I encourage you to look around. Who are some of my church neighbors who I sit by every week and I really don't know? Maybe you want to invite them over to your house for a dessert. One of you in that area might want to say, I'm going to do that. I'm just going to look around, and there's about 8 of us here. You know what? Maybe it's 10. I don't know what it is, but we're going to say, I'm going to take the initiative to invite them to come to me so we can get to know each other and not just kind of be like that man of many friends who knows a lot of people at a distance, but begin to know people at a deeper level. And guess what may happen? Because of that, they may impact you, or you may impact them to become more like Jesus, because you're getting closer and spending time together and get to know each other and creating new opportunities. We enjoyed our time with Richard and Carol the other day and just getting to know these guys and spending time. What a rich time for us. We hope you guys were blessed in some way. Peter and Pam Glanville just recently, newer to the church, we had some time with them, just enjoyed and were blessed. You know, guys, full of surprises. I mean, some of the quotes you gave, Richard, at home, I told Kim about them, writing them down in my memory thing. I don't want to lose those things. Kim said, that one's good, so she wrote it down, you know. So, I mean, these are rich times. You know what, guys? Here's a second option. Maybe have a dessert with one of your next door neighbors, not with one, with your next door neighbors, who you probably like normal North American neighbors. Know them enough to know their name and wave at them, but really know nothing, because we got even garage clickers. We don't have to get out of the car, man. We drive in the garage, close the door, we go in. What if we invited our neighbors over for a dessert and we began to build relationship with our next door neighbors? Guess what? God may use that to bring somebody to Jesus. Third option would be this. Maybe invite somebody over for coffee. Cafe, let's get here early next week. Let's stay late. Let's go to Starbucks. Let's go to Dunkin' Donuts, McDonald's, whatever your budget can afford in coffee. But you know what? Say, let's not just a quick handshake on Sunday morning and say, be blessed, but say, hey, man, I want to get to know you. Or maybe that's with a neighbor, a coworker, a classmate. The point is, guys, put some feet to this message. I'd encourage you to practice expanding your relationships to expand your heart. Here, I want to close with this passage and then tell you what we're going to do. 2 John 12 says this. This is a word for our generation. And I consider myself part of it because I do a lot of it myself. Though I have many things to write to you, I do not want to do so with paper and ink. But I hope to come to you and speak face to face so that your joy may be made full. You know what our generation likes to do is speak phone to phone, Facebook to Facebook, Twitter to Twitter, messenger to messenger. You follow what I'm saying? Guys, we're in a social media generation and time with some of the most lonely people in the world. You may have 500 Facebook friends, but you have that friend that sticks closer than a brother. And you know what, guys? If you want to build relationships and you want to get the fullness that comes out of it, it comes from face-to-face meetings. Yeah, I do. Use your text to encourage. Send a verse. Say, hey, I'm thinking of you. I'm praying for you. I'm not trying to say you don't do that stuff, but guys, don't make that the basic staple in your relationships. The basic staple in your relationship is, hey, let's get together face to face. If Moraine Valley wants to be a countercultural church in this day and age, we start getting with people rather than just texting and social media with people. We don't just do programs, we get in relationship. We start to impact by close proximity of relationships, spending time with people. I love the way the message says this. I have a lot more things to tell you, but I'd rather not use paper and ink. I hope to be there soon in person and have a heart-to-heart talk. That will be far more satisfying for both you and me. Guys, this is God's wisdom from Proverbs today about relationships. And we're going to practice it right now. There's 25 minutes before 11 o'clock. Normally we get out at 11. So we're intentionally stopping early this morning to give you a chance to practice this message. Now let me say this. Everybody listen. If you're a parent with a child in the children's program, please do not pick them up until 11 o'clock, and I'm going to tell you why. One is because you will interrupt the whole class. They've got a lesson that is planned until 11 o'clock. They know we're doing this, and they asked us to please beg you not to come before that because it really will interfere with the whole class and the program of what they're doing. So it's very important that you don't go pick up your children yet. But second of all, this gives you a chance as a parent to connect with somebody else without maybe your child grabbing your leg and saying, hey, Mom, and you're trying, we're going to give you a space for about 20 minutes here to connect with somebody. So what I want you to do is look around or think in your mind, who's somebody by you that you don't know, or you only know a little bit and you should know better? You may be sitting here and say, boy, I see those people all the time. There you sit here and you say, I see these people, or maybe people that are near you, whatever. But who is somebody here that is near you that you really should get to know, that you don't know? And then what I want you to do is take 15, 20 minutes with that person. Not just shake 15 hands and say, my name is, and God bless you. Find that one person. Start to have a heart-to-heart. Who are you? Where are you from? What are you about? Why? What's going on in your life? How can I pray for you? There could be 100 different directions. Let the Spirit lead you. But find that one person. What we've done as well, you can sit in here unless, we want to encourage you because we actually bought a whole bunch of ice cream. Christians can't talk without food, I was told. So we said, okay, we'll provide some food. So we got ice cream and we got toppings for you. We even have a dairy-free section. But the dairy-free, we ask, is only for those who really have reactions to it because we have limited amounts and we do have people who have serious reactions to with dairy allergies. So I'm going to dismiss us. And I'm going to ask you, who's somebody who you don't know? They're on the fringe of your relationships. You should know better. Take some time to get to know them better. That's just step one. Step two is I hope you'll invite some church neighbors, some home neighbors for dessert, or somebody out for coffee, so we can begin to spend close proximity time with people in order to impact them and be impact for the glory of Jesus. So I'm going to pray. You know your instructions? You got it? And again, you can go back there, get ice cream. We have actually the worship teams. They're ready to serve you and scoop. I told them double portions for the pastoral staff. Everybody else gets a single portion. But they're going to be scooping out ice cream, and there's toppings there for you. So you can even talk around food if you want, or maybe you just say, hey, I just want to connect with you in here. So, Father, I just thank you for this morning. Thank you for these truths, Lord. And would you make us a group of people that are about people getting with people? God, help us use the computer and the internet and the phones as a resource, but not as the source of what we do. Lord, I pray that even now, would you orchestrate some new meetings, some new surprises, some new stretching in our hearts as we meet with somebody this morning. And God, I pray as we go today, would your Holy Spirit be pleased by this message to shape us. Make us people who you don't have to force us out of our comfort zone, but people who intentionally say, Jesus wants us to reach the world for Jesus. I'm going to build relationships so I can be there. God, would you do that in us? Would you change the way we think? Would we not be people come and think first, where are my buddies? But God, would we think first, what are you doing here and how would you want to use me? It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right, guys, we're not finishing with a song. We're not finishing with whatever. Look for somebody, please, that's on the fringe of your relationships and say, I want to get to know you better.